Hello and welcome to my Oscar prediction video. Before we get started, I want to talk about some of the changes they've made for this year, as well as some of the controversies that have surrounded this year's Oscars. The first thing they've brought in and brought back, actually, is bringing in hosts. But this year, they've got three hosts. They're going to have Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes. Of those three, I am only really interested in seeing Wanda Sykes because I have been not too fond of Regina Hall or Amy Schumer. The next thing they've brought in is the Oscar fan favorite and Oscar cheer moment. These are things that they're doing to unnecessarily pander to a populist audience who have already left the show and probably won't be coming back, and they're alienating more of the cinephiles that have stuck with it. Now, we love the films that are on this fan favorite list, especially, Spider-Man No Way Home. But this is just a way for the Academy to award Spider-Man No Way Home with something, but not give it the Best Picture award. They were trying to do the same type of thing with the Best Popular Film Award, and that got canned. So hopefully soon, maybe next year, because it seems like this year it's going to happen, but hopefully next year it gets canned, just like the Best Popular Film Award. The third thing is them moving 8 awards off the live broadcast into a pre-tape segment that they're going to splice then back into the broadcast, but they're probably going to end up cutting a lot of these speeches. Now, those 8 categories were animated short film, live action short film, documentary short film, film editing, makeup and hairstyling, original score, production design, and sound. The short film categories have been used in the past as a proving ground for filmmakers without them getting the recognition that they deserve as equals in this industry. It may discourage some of them from continuing and may discourage people from getting into it. Film editing. Without film editing, films would be overlong and would have poor acting cuts choices. There may also be just random nonsense, overly cut. It could be undercut, So there's so many issues that could come from this category being pushed to the side. Had films not been edited, this would have been a huge issue. Makeup and hairstyling. Without makeup and hairstyling, a lot of these performers are not able to get into their character as well as they are. In this year, you've got Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Without the makeup and hairstyling team, I don't think she would be able to get into that role and people buying her as Tammy Faye. They transformed her completely. Same thing happens in a lot of these action and sci-fi films. They completely transform these actors to look like aliens, like green-skinned aliens, blue-skinned aliens, whatever other type of aliens or whatever, or any other type of thing, really. So it's just this versatility that you can have by using makeup and hairstyling. Original score. Well, original score is the past 3 years have gone to populist films. Soul, Joker, and Black Panther. Joker made $1 billion. Black Panther made $1 billion. Soul was on Disney Plus, day and date release, so anybody could see it. And it ended up winning Best Animated Feature Film that year as well. Production design. Without production design, the audience doesn't buy that you're in a certain location or at a certain time. A lot of these period films, you've got to have the best production design to be able to mimic what the location looked like at that time. And, this year, you've got Dune, where they had to mimic Arrakis. You got Nightmare Alley that had to mimic a carnival in the 1940s. Then we've got Best Sound. Best Sound, without sound, a movie is a silent film. That's fine in the 1920s and 30s, and in the 40s, you've got a lot of Charlie Chaplin films are silent films. And that's absolutely fine to have a silent film, but without proper usage of sound, you might have things that just don't work well. This is sound editing, sound mixing, mixed together, joined together as one award, so it's a very important category. And it's been relegated along with all these, the rest of these, to a pre-taped segment. And that's just not great for actual cinephiles. The final thing I want to talk about is that they've announced just recently that they're going to perform live We Don't Talk About Bruno. This song isn't even nominated for Best Original Song. Yes, it's a popular song and people like it. Yeah, great. But it wasn't nominated. It shouldn't be performed. There's already all the other performances, and there's all these other things that they're adding in, all these other things that don't really matter, just to lengthen time, try to bring people in. But they're cutting awards from the actual broadcast. I'd rather see those 8 awards get their due on the stage live, where they're able to speak and say their speeches and not be cut to bits, instead of seeing all this filler stuff added in. That's always what I've hated about the Oscars, is the filler, the comedy bits that just don't ever really work. That's never been the thing. Last year's Oscars was the shortest it had been in a long time. It was only 3 hours and 21 minutes. And I know that sounds long, but they still, it was awarded all the pictures, and it was very zippy. It moved at a clip. It was great. I liked last year's, other than their change with the Best Picture switching after to be before the Best Actor and Actress categories. That was just a bad move, and I just feel as though they've made a few bad moves this year that are, I would say, even worse than what was last year. Now that that's all out of the way, I'm going to talk about my actual predictions. But first, I had to change into the right attire. This is a prestigious affair, isn't it? Now that I'm in the right attire, we can get started with the predictions. What I will be doing with these predictions is I will be doing what I think will win, then what I would have voted for. Now, I haven't seen all these, so what I'm choosing is something that I have seen. If I see these films after the fact, I may have put them in this position of what I would have voted for, but I can't, in good conscience, vote for it without having seen the film. And then the third one is going to be what I think could upset my predictions, just because, sometimes I may be wrong. I'm only human. I can only predict so well. Last year I got 18 out of 23, the year before 18 out of 24, the year before, the first year I did it, 13 out of 24. So, I've been getting better, but I could always still make mistakes. Let's get it started with the 8 categories that were moved off the live broadcast and are in the pre-tape segment that it's just going to be sliced in, because they're just as important as the rest of them, and they deserve to be predicted as well. And I mean, everybody's going to have to predict these if they want to get a full slate right. So, if you want to get it right, maybe listen here. So we're going to start with our first category, Best Animated Short Film. Of these films, I have seen 3 of the nominees: Affairs of the Art, The Windshield Wiper, and Robin Robin. Of those 5 that are nominated, I believe that Robin Robin is going to be the winner of the Academy Award. Now, it's not just because I haven't seen the other 2, but it's because it's a cute film and it's well animated. It's something that anybody could have seen. It's on Netflix, so it makes it very accessible for any of the Academy voters. The others were a little bit harder to find, but they probably got screeners. And the other 2 are just not ones that I think the Academy would really personally vote for. Affairs of the Art specifically is a very weird one. If you want to check it out, you can. It's available on the National Film Board of Canada. You may find it elsewhere as well. I just don't think that would be in the Academy's zeitgeist. Now, what I would have personally voted for, I would also have personally voted for Robin Robin to win. I think that one was one that I really enjoyed. This is actually a really weird year because Disney and Pixar are not nominated. Neither of them are nominated for this award, and they haven't been snubbed of this category since 2009. So they've been nominated every year since then for the past 11 years. So this is going to be a really interesting year. Of the nominees that I think could maybe upset my prediction, the windshield wiper would be one of those, because it's one of those things that it was pretty good. You know, I enjoyed it well enough, but I still think I enjoyed Robin more. And the other one that I think could upset it is Bestia. That one won at the Annie Awards, so it's got a little bit of momentum, but I don't know if it's got enough momentum. And of the other one, the last one is Box Ballet, which I think is a circumstance of its time. It's a Russian-made film. Obviously, the Academy doesn't want to award Russian films at this time with the invasion in Ukraine going on in this world's climate. Of this category, in the past, I have predicted it 3 out of 3 times correct. So if you can trust anybody, you can probably trust me on getting this category right. Now let's move on to the next category, Best Live Action Short Film. With the Best Live Action Short Film, I have seen 3 of the 5 nominees as well. These were a little bit harder to find, but I was able to find them on YouTube. I will post the links for those in the description. I will for the animated films and the documentary shorts as well. Some of those are available on Netflix, so I can just tell you that they're available on Netflix. But of the nominees, I believe The Long Goodbye is going to win. It is one of those films that is very topical. It's somewhat like the last year's winner, Two Distant Strangers, and it's a way for the Academy to award Riz Ahmed, who was nominated last year for Best Actor, and he didn't win, but this is a way to give him some recognition for his performance in that film, even though this is not going to be for that same film, but it's at least something that he can get, that they can say, hey, we've awarded you. That's what the Academy likes to do. They give people an award just because, hey, you know what, we didn't give you an award for this one that you were probably deserving of, but you're deserving of it here too, so we'll give it to you here now. Just because we need to give it to somebody, and we should have given it to you back then, but we're giving it to you now as a consolation prize. So again, and if I was voting, the ones that I've seen is The Long Goodbye on my mind, and I also saw Please Hold. Of those, I'd probably also have voted for The Long Goodbye. The only one that I think could upset my prediction is Please Hold. I believe that one is very much almost like a Black Mirror episode. It would get a lot of people at least interested, but I still do think that The Long Goodbye is going to end up taking that prize at the Oscar Awards on Sunday. Of this category, I have been right 2 out of the last 3 times, and both those times have been in the past 2 years. So that's when I've refined my science, because in 2019, my science was very lackluster. In 2020, I refined the science, got a little bit better. In 2021, I refined the science even more, and this year I've refined the science to a T. I really think this year is going to be my best year yet in terms of predictions. Now let's move on to the third category, Best Documentary Short Film. In this category, I was able to watch 4 out of the 5 nominees. 5 of them I found, all 5 of them I was able to find on YouTube. Well, 2 of them I was able to find on YouTube. 3 of them are Netflix exclusive, but I didn't watch one of them that were on YouTube when we were bullies. I just didn't feel really interested in checking that one out. But the rest of them I checked out, and of those, I would say there's 3 that I really enjoyed: The Queen of Basketball, Audible, and Lead Me Home. Of those 3, I believe The Queen of Basketball is going to end up winning the award on Sunday. I just felt that this was such an informative and inspirational film, and it had me in tears near the end. Audible would be a good second choice, as well as Lead Me Home being maybe a third choice. You know, that's always got a possibility of winning. These short film categories are very wide open every year, so it's very difficult to predict who's going to win those awards. In the past, I have been right 2 out of 3 times. Last year, I was maybe going a bit against the science in my prediction, and I ended up failing because I went against my science. Sometimes it pays to go with the science. Now, we'll talk about Best makeup and hairstyling. This category, I believe, is basically on a lock. It is probably going to be going to The Eyes of Tammy Faye. It is just the one that is a little bit more flashy. It's the more transformative of the makeup effects that they've done. You know, obviously they did some transformative work in Coming to America, but I just don't seem to think that the Academy is going to want to vote for that. Also, considering that the Eyes of Tammy Faye won the Hollywood Critics Award, the BAFTA, and the Critics' Choice Award, it just seems to have the momentum going into this. In the past, I've gotten this right 3 times, so you can probably trust me on this category as well. Now let's move on to Best Production Design. Best Production Design, I feel this award is going to be going to Dune. Dune has won the BAFTA, it's won the Critics' Choice Award, it won the Art Directors Guild Award for Fantasy Feature, so it's got a lot of momentum coming into this ceremony. And just its work is just amazingly well done. I think I would have voted for Dune as well, but Nightmare Alley would be a close second. This Nightmare Alley could upset Dune for this award. It won at the Hollywood Critics Awards and it won at the Art Directors Guild for period feature. So it's a bit of a second place for the moment. So that wouldn't be a bad choice either. And in this category, I've been right 1 out of the last 3 times, and that was last year. So you can kind of trust me. I've refined the science. The science is there for that category and for that film, for that set. I just maybe made some wrong choices in the first 2 years. Now let's move on to Best Original Score. Best Original Score is another category that's kind of on lock for this year. You've got, I believe, Dune is going to win Hans Zimmer the Oscar for this film. I believe this is a great job he's done. He's created instruments out of thin air in doing this, and just he's done some amazing work here that I think deserves to be awarded and is probably going to be awarded. It has won the Hollywood Critics Award, the BAFTA, and the Critics' Choice Award. Of those, I don't think there has been another film that has won any of the other awards for Best Original Score. So this year is kind of on lock for Hans Zimmer. In the past, I've gotten this right 2 out of the last 3 times. The first year I got it wrong. A lot of that is because I didn't trust my gut. I would have voted for Black Panther had I trusted my gut, but I didn't, so I ended up wrong. But you live and you learn. Now let's move on to the next category, Best Sound. Best Sound, I think, is also going to go to Dune. It won the BAFTA. It won won the Motion Picture Sound Editors Award for feature effects and Foley, and it won the Cinema Audio Society Award. This is a film that I would have voted for as well for this category. The second choice for this would be West Side Story. It did win the NPSE award for feature music. So it's always it's the second, but I don't think it's done enough to win this award. I have gotten this right 2 out of the last 5 or 1.5 out of the last 3. The reason I'm saying this is because in previous years, they used to split these categories into 2 awards, editing and mixing. And in the first year, I got it wrong on both counts. The second year, I got it wrong half. Because I went with the same film for both. One, it did win, the other, it didn't. It usually went to the same film, so that was a weird year. And last year for Sound of Metal. Now let's move on to Best Film Editing. Best Film Editing, I also think is going to go to Dune. Dune is going to win a lot of these technical awards. The reason I'm saying Dune is going to win this award is because in the past, what has been a predictor for what is going to win Best Film Editing is what won Best Sound. So, you know, that's just where I'm going with it. The track record is going there. Now, I probably would have ended up voting for Dune as well for Best Film Editing, although maybe I could have seen myself voting for Tick, Tick, Boom as well. I really enjoyed that movie. That was my favorite movie. Dune was second favorite. So that's what I would have had a little bit of a difficult time voting for this award. Of those, I just don't know that there's any other that could come up and take this award from Dune. It's very possible one of these could, but I don't know. So we'll see what happens on Oscar night. This category I've gotten right 2 out of the last 3 times, both of them being in the last 2 years. So we'll see if I can be right a 3rd year in a row. Now let's move on to the next category. Now we're getting into the categories that are going to be in the live broadcast. Best Original Song. Best Original Song, I feel, is going to go to No Time to Die. This is one of those categories where it's like, I would love to award Dos Oruguitas and give Lin his EGOT finally, but sadly, I don't think this is going to be his year to win. We've seen Be Alive from King Richard win the Hollywood Critics Award. We've seen No Time to Die win the Critics' Choice Award. So, you know, it's kind of a toss-up between those two. And No Time to Die, it's a Bond song. Bond songs have won in the past. So it's got a precedent. And, you know, Dos Oruguitas, while I like the song, it's one of those songs that it's like, it's not the biggest song from the movie. Now, a lot of people would consider We Don't Talk About Bruno. Hey, why didn't they put that in there? I didn't really consider that one. I was like, okay, you know what? Why wouldn't they put in, I don't know, Waiting on a Miracle? That one is a classic Oscar bait song because it's a belter. I just don't know why they wouldn't have thought about that one. Maybe that one probably could have won, but sadly they chose a song that they thought would fit the overall theme of the film better, and it's not their biggest song from the film, and that's going to hurt it in the long run. In the past, I've gotten this category right 2 out of the last 3 times. Last year was a bit of a fluke. We had a lot of lead up going to Speak Now, but at the end, when Oscar night showed up, the one that won was Fight for You, I think. That was the song name, by Her. So we'll have to see what happens this year. This year, it's a kind of wide open category in some ways, because who knows, maybe Dos Oruguitas does have enough to win it in the end. Now let's move on to Best Costume Design. This is one of the other technical awards that I think is not going to go to Dune. Of those, I've got Makeup and Hairstyling not going to Dune, and this one, Best Costume Design, I believe is probably going to go to Cruella. Cruella has won the Hollywood Critics Award, the Costume Designer Guild Award for Period Film, the BAFTA, and the Critics' Choice Award. It's just been sweeping throughout, so it's probably going to end up winning this one. We'll have to see what goes on in the end. I have gotten this category correct the last 3 out of 3 times that I've done it. So you can probably trust me when I say Cruella is probably going to end up winning. Now let's move on to Best Visual Effects. For Best Visual Effects, I feel this is again going to go to Dune. Dune has won a lot of the awards leading up to this. It's won the Hollywood Critics Award. It's won plenty of Visual Effects Society awards. It's won the BAFTA. It's won the Critics' Choice Award. None of the other films nominated in this category have won at any of these other award shows. So it's very likely going to go to Dune. Another feather in Dune's cap is that the same studio that did last year's film that won, Tenet, did this film. So it's very much going to be this thing where I think this is going to be another win for them. And I've gotten this category right 1 out of the last 3 times. The other 2 times because I've trusted more in Marvel and the Academy voting for Marvel films as best visual effects, rather than voting for, say, a prestige film like First Man or 1917. Well, those visual effects were pretty good after I did end up seeing 1917. It was fairly well deserved, I would say. Now let's move on to the next category, cinematography. Dune is going to win this one. Dune won the Hollywood Critics Award. It won the BAFTA. It won the American Society of Cinematographers Award. It's probably going to end up winning this. I think they did some really great stuff in this. They took a lot of these shots and then added visual effects into them, so they had to make it like this is some really cool stuff they did in this film, and it's really great work they've done. So I would have probably voted for this film as well. And the only one that I think could possibly challenge this is The Power of the Dog. The Power of the Dog won the Critics' Choice Award. So it's very possible that would be the second choice, but I still think it's going to go to Dune. I think Dune is going to win a lot of these technical categories, as I said earlier. Cinematography, I've gotten right 2 out of the last 3 times. Last year I voted Nomadland. It ended up being Mank. I just thought the cinematography in Nomadland was so gorgeous and it just amazingly beautiful. But I guess they liked the black and white cinematography, put them in Hollywood times, I guess, because Hollywood likes to award itself. So now we're going to be moving on to some bigger categories. I mean, all of them are big enough that, you know, and they're all equal in their own ways, but some of these categories are considered bigger than others. So we're going to be moving on to documentary feature. Documentary feature this year, I think it's going to be ending up going to Summer of Soul. This is the only one I've seen, Summer of Soul. I've seen it win the Hollywood Critics Award. I've seen it win the Eddie Award. I've seen it win the BAFTA, the Producers Guild Award, the Cinema Audio Society Award. Some of those don't really matter to this specific category, more so the Critics Awards and the Producers Guild and the BAFTA. But again, this is the one that's going to be hard to beat. And I think this is going to win Questlove his Oscar. I have been right the past 2 out of 3 times I've done this prediction. And again, 2020 and 2021. So you can kind of trust. I've kept the science going. Before I wasn't using this same science. Now I'm using this science and I think it's going to pay off. And I've even refined the science for this year to cut down on the mistakes that I made last year. Now let's move on to the next category, Best International Film. This, I think, is going to end up going to Drive My Car. Drive My Car has won the Hollywood Critics Award, it won the BAFTA, it won the Critics' Choice Award. It is the one to beat. It was also nominated for Best Director and Best Picture. Now, what you have to think is when something is nominated for Best Picture and it's the only one in that category nominated for Best Picture, it has to win in that category, you know? This is Best International Feature, yet you have one of these awards also nominated for Best Picture. It has to win that category. It's the same thing that happened back when Roma was nominated for Best Picture and Parasite was nominated for Best Picture. I believe Another Round may have also been nominated for Best Picture. It may have been, may not have been. I can't really remember at this time. But again, it seems like a lot of these international films are being nominated for Best Picture, which means basically all the other films nominated in that category don't have much of a chance. Now, if any film does have a chance, I think it's going to be Worst Person in the World would be the only potential one that could upset my prediction. It's the only other one that's also nominated for another category. I believe it's nominated for original screenplay. So, but I still think this is going to end up going to Drive My Car. I've not seen any of these films other than The Hand of God. I wasn't a huge fan of that film. So we'll have to see what happens. I have been right the past 3 out of 3 times I've predicted this category. So again, you can trust me. I'm probably going to get this one right. Now let's move on to Best Animated Feature Film. This one was a really hard one for me to pick. I was really concerned. I was kind of flip-flopping between two films, Encanto and Mitchells versus the Machines. It's one of those ones that has been kind of, both of them have been winning certain awards, you know. Encanto won the Art Directors Guild, the BAFTA, the Producers Guild, the Cinema Audio Society, the ACE Award. You know, Mitchells and the Machines won the Hollywood Critics Award, won the Critics' Choice Award, won a lot of the Annie Awards. But again, I still think for me, I'm going to go with Encanto as the winner. It just seems like the Oscar type film to win. Now, it's very possible that the Mitchells versus the Machines could win. It's another film from Sony Animation. Sony Animation just won a few years ago for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And it seems like they're on a kind of 3-year or so path where it's like, we'll award Disney films and Pixar films 2 years in a row, and then we'll award a different film studio just to shake it up a little bit. But we'll have to see what happens. I think it's still going to be Encanto, but I wouldn't be mad if Mitchells versus the Machines won. It's one of those things that I had those films neck and neck in my own ranking for the year. So, I would be fine with either one winning. I liked both films. For this category, I've gotten it right 3 out of the last 3 times I've done it. So again, you can probably trust me, but this was really hard to pick between those two. I think this may be the year that this may be one of the categories that I am most stressed about seeing who ends up winning on Oscar night. Now let's move on to Best Adapted Screenplay. This one may be a bit of a shock to you, but I think it's going to be Coda. Now, the reason I think it's going to be Coda is because it's won the Hollywood Critics Award, it won the Writers Guild Award, and it won the BAFTA. And when it won the BAFTA, it was going up against The Power of the Dog, which won the Critics' Choice Award, and Power of the Dog won Best Film at the BAFTAs. So how could it win Best Film if it didn't win Best Screenplay? Well, maybe there's a film that has a better screenplay. So I think Coda is going to win. I would probably have also voted for Coda. Maybe I would have voted for Dune. I liked both films. I liked Dune more. Dune was my second favorite film of the year, as I mentioned earlier, but Coda would be another film that, you know what, I'm fine if that ends up winning. And Dune Part 2 could be nominated for next year's, well, not next year's, but the year after next year's awards, as well as, Dune director Denis Villeneuve should be nominated he should have been nominated this year, and he should be nominated and probably will end up being nominated for Dune Part 2. And if they make Dune Messiah, then that as well. In this category, I've been right 3 out of the last 3 times, so you could probably trust me. Last year, I believe it was a toss-up. A lot of people were thinking it was going to be Nomadland. I was like, nah, it's going to be The Father. The Father ended up winning. So, you never know. I may be right sometimes when it might be a complete shock to everybody else, or a lot of other people anyways. Now let's move on to the Best Original Screenplay category. This category was fairly wide open. A lot of films winning different awards. You got Belfast winning the Critics' Choice Award. You got Don't Look Up winning the Writers Guild Award. I don't think it really deserved it. It's one of those films that the director said it's about climate change. It doesn't really work as an allegory for climate change because climate change is man-made. It's human-made. It's caused by us. What the film does is have it be that an asteroid comes down, is coming to Earth to destroy it. And it's like, well, an asteroid isn't man-made, so it's not our fault that an asteroid comes to Earth, but it is our fault for climate change. So again, its allegory didn't work. Now, had it done an allegory for political discourse and political division within our world today, that would have been a better story. And I think that would have been more deserving of this award. But I don't think in its messaging that it's trying to send that it is at all good and should win any awards. The other film that has won an award for Best Original Screenplay is Licorice Pizza. That won the BAFTA award. Now, I'm going to go with, as my prediction for winning Best Original Screenplay, Belfast. I think Belfast is going to win Best Original Screenplay. It is one of those things where I don't know that necessarily people have so much love for Licorice Pizza. Now, mind you, I haven't seen either of those films, so I don't know which film people like more or less, but I think Belfast is probably going to end up winning this award. But it could be Licorice Pizza. Licorice Pizza would be the only one that I think could upset my prediction. I really hope Don't Look Up doesn't upset my prediction, because that will make me really annoyed, and I'll probably end up shutting the awards show off right there and then, even though I have many reasons to shut it off before then. Out of all the controversies I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm not going to get into it again. That's just too much stuff. In this category, I've been right the past 2 out of 3 times. Again, the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021. So again, we have to see if my science is right a 3rd year in a row. Now let's move on to some of the big 6 categories, the ones that you'll see many people predicting to win over these next couple days. We're going to start it off with Best Supporting Actress. Best Supporting Actress, I think it's a strong lock for Ariana DeBose. She won the SAG Award. She won the Hollywood Critics Award. She won the BAFTA. She won the Critics' Choice Award. This is her award to lose. Nobody else has been winning a lot of these awards. I don't see anybody taking this away from her. And she did an amazing job in West Side Story, and she would be joining another 2 people winning an award for the same role as somebody else has won in previous years. In this category, in the past, I have been right the past 3 times out of 3 times. So you can probably trust that I know my science on who's going to win this award. Now, let's move on to Best Supporting Actor. Now, had you asked me at the beginning of the year, hearing all the buzz that was going around, I would have said Kodi Smit-McPhee is going to win this award. But once the SAG Awards happened, things got drastically shaken up. Troy Kotsur is probably going to be the winner for this award, and I think he's amazingly well-deserving of this award. I think he did an amazing performance in Coda. It's so hilarious and so heartwarming that he really deserves this award. He won the SAG, as I said earlier. He won the Hollywood Critics Award and the BAFTA and the Critics' Choice Award. He's been winning a lot of these awards leading up to it. I really think this is his year to win. I think he might be the first time, this might be his first nomination. So, really, really great that he's going to get the win right off the bat. This category in the past, I've been right the past 3 out of 3 times I've predicted this. So again, trust my science. I'm probably going to get this one right. Now let's move on to Best Actress. So for Best Actress, this was a difficult category because none of the nominees lined up with the BAFTAs, and the BAFTAs have become increasingly a predictor of who's going to win these awards. So without the BAFTA, you have to go based on a little bit different stuff. You have to think about it a little bit harder. I ended up going with the one that's got a little bit more buzz going into this, Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. She won the SAG Award and the Critics' Choice Award. So this is one where she's got a little bit more momentum. Now, I do have a potential upset for this prediction. If anyone is to upset my prediction on this, it's going to be Kristen Stewart. She won the Hollywood Critics Award. This is for her role in Spencer. So it's very possible that she could end up winning. But I still think it has to probably go to Jessica Chastain with this makeup and hairstyling, and her, just working together. And you know what? She came out with this thing where she was saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to support my makeup and hairstylist who I worked with for this film and go to the pre-show. I'm not going to do any of the Oscar red carpet or interview stuff. I just want to make sure I support the people who I've worked with. So I think a lot of people will be happy about her doing that and be more inclined to vote for her because she is a great human being. And she has been nominated 2 other times before. This is her 3rd nomination. So it's been time. She's past due a win. Mind you, other award nominees have been past due long before. Glenn Close, I believe, is one of them. I believe Leonardo DiCaprio was another one of them that was nominated very frequently and only just recently has won an Academy Award for his role in The Revenant. So we'll have to see what happens on Oscar night. I've gotten this category right 1 out of the past 3 years. I think this one was always one of those categories that I've had a little bit of trouble figuring out. I may be able to figure this out better this year. It may just be that I figure it out and I get it right every other year. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens on Oscar night. Now let's move on to Best Lead Actor. This category, I feel, has been Will Smith's domination. This is his time to win an Oscar. He's been nominated, I believe, 2 times before. So it's his time. It's his time. He's been working hard throughout so many years of doing this acting and all this stuff. So, he's won the SAG Award. He won the BAFTA. He won the Critics' Choice Award. He's just one that, he's been past due. And how many other times are you going to be able to nominate him? We don't know what other films he's going to be coming out with that are this Oscar bait type film. Of these, I would probably have actually voted Andrew Garfield. I really liked his performance in Tick, Tick, Boom, which was my favorite movie of the year. And I just feel as though he transformed himself for Jonathan Larson into Jonathan Larson for his performance. He was singing on his own, he was dancing. We didn't know he could do all this stuff. And, you know, he's done other great films throughout the years. This year alone, he was in like 3 or 4 films, including Eyes of Tammy Faye. He was in Spider-Man No Way Home. He was in this film, Tick, Tick, Boom. I believe there was another smaller film that he was in. So again, he's a very versatile actor who's been in so many different roles throughout the years. It's got to be at some point, he's got to win. He's going to win an Oscar. But I think the Academy may be waiting a little bit longer. They'll be like, yeah, we'll award him at some point. He'll have another good role that we'll nominate for him for, and we'll award him at some point. In this category, I've been right 2 out of the last 3 times. Last year's category, I got wrong because I was going with the trend. Every award show seemed to be awarding this Best Lead Actor last year to Chadwick Boseman, except the BAFTA award. The BAFTA award gave it to Anthony Hopkins. The BAFTA award determined who was going to win last year. This year, Will Smith won the BAFTA, not Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch hasn't won any of these awards. And he was another one that people predicted would be one of those front runners for this category. But I don't think he's got enough in him. He had enough momentum going in him. And he's going to have other performances where he's probably going to be nominated, maybe even going to win for a performance. So I feel the Academy is going to give this one to Will Smith. Now let's move on to Best Director. This is another one that I feel is very much on lock. This is going to be probably going to Jane Campion for her work on The Power of the Dog. She won the Hollywood Critics Award, she won the Directors Guild Award, she won the BAFTA, she won the Critics' Choice Award. She's been winning all these awards, and you know what? I'm fine with that. I would have loved to see Denis Villeneuve get a nomination, and I would have probably voted for him, at least to be nominated. I don't know who I would have ended up voting for this if I was just going in with these 5 nominees. Of these 5 nominees, I've only seen 2 of those films. I've only seen The Power of the Dog and West Side Story. And I don't know which one I would rather award personally. I mean, Steven Spielberg has been awarded these Oscars before. I don't remember I haven't done my research into seeing if Jane Campion has won any of these awards, but I feel as though, you know what, give her an award. You know, it's great to see women getting recognized for making films. You know, last year it was Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. You know, this year it's going to be Jane Campion. And I'm glad to see women getting awarded for doing great work. You know, I didn't personally love Power of the Dog, but you know what? She did a pretty good job in actually getting these visuals, getting the actors doing what they're doing. You know, she did a great job. So she's deserving of this award. Now let's move on to the final award of the night, which will be Best Picture. And this is going to be a bit of a surprise for you guys. So this is going to be a little bit of a outside underdog pick, and you probably already may have figured it out. I'm voting and I'm predicting that Coda is going to end up winning this award. Now, a lot of people will say The Power of the Dog is going to win. The Power of the Dog has the momentum. It won the BAFTA. It won the Critics' Choice Award. Heck, Belfast won the BAFTA for Best British Film. So you know what? That always has, you know, an outside third possibility. But I think, you know what? I'm going to go with the film that has gotten a little bit of momentum in the late stages. I'm going to be going with Coda. Coda won the Hollywood Critics Award. It won the Producers Guild Award. The Producers Guild have been right 22 out of the last 32 years. So this could be a year where they're wrong, but it could also be a year where they're right. And another reason to trust in the Producers Guild a little bit more for who they choose for Best Picture is that when the way they do their voting is exactly the same way as the Oscars do their voting, which is a ranked choice ballot. Now, speaking of that, I want to quickly go into what I would have voted and in the order that I would have voted them for. Now, of this category, I haven't seen 4 of the nominees. I haven't seen Belfast, I haven't seen Drive My Car, I haven't seen King Richard, and I haven't seen Licorice Pizza. So those will not be in my ranking for this video. I don't want to put them in there because I don't know where I would end up putting these things. I don't know what my feelings on these films would be. So maybe in future years, I'll be able to watch all the Best Picture nominees and do this type of thing again, where I would then rank all 10. But for this year, I am only going to do the 6 that I have seen. And one of them I've seen recently, and you will have known that what the rating is if you watch that video. Actually, 2 of them I did recently, West Side Story and Nightmare Alley. Now, how I would rank this, my first choice would be Dune. Now, Dune would have been my second choice had Tick, Tick, Boom been nominated, which I feel is a big snub for that film. That film was a great movie and it should have been nominated, maybe even over West Side Story. Number 2, I would have given it to Coda. Again, one of those things that, you know what, I enjoyed the film. I had fun. Sue me if you don't like my opinion. Number 3, I would have gone with West Side Story. You know, pretty good movie, did its job. Number 4, Nightmare Alley. You know, I enjoyed that film enough. I probably could have seen myself giving it a little bit of a boost. In my review, I gave it a 3 stars out of 5. I probably could have given it like a 3.25. I kind of enjoyed it, but it was just a little bit too predictable for me to fully enjoy it. Number 5, I would have given to The Power of the Dog. I thought it was an okay film. I don't know why there's so much hype around it, but hey, you enjoy your films, I'll enjoy mine. We'll have to agree to disagree on this one. And number 6 would be Don't Look Up. Again, just poor way of doing it with the climate change allegory that doesn't really work as a climate change allegory. And I didn't really like some of the cast and characters, especially Jonah Hill. I found Jonah Hill incredibly annoying in this film, and I just really didn't need to see that post-credit scene. I just really didn't need all that garbage. It really went and overstayed its welcome. This category I've gotten right 1 out of the past 3, and that was last year. So hopefully my science is right. And even if I'm wrong, I'd be fine with having gone with my heart instead of necessarily my mind, because sometimes I've gone with my mind and ended up screwed. Thank you for watching this prediction video. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, in the last video, I said that my next video was probably going to be another This Week I Watched. I don't think that's going to actually end up happening, but I do have something special planned, a return to form from my first video, franchise reviews. I will be doing a Monty Python franchise review that will probably be coming out around April Fool's, just because it works, because it's a comedy series coming out on a day of comedy. So we'll probably do that. Again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want anything, if you have anything to say about my predictions, maybe your predictions, put that in the comment section down below. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, watch some of my other videos. I would love to see more views coming out on that. Yeah, just thank you for watching this video and enjoy Oscar night. Let's celebrate.